So, it's the British Hill Climb Championship video. You ready? And I wanted to kick the video off on a Friday night because it gives us time to like chat without having my head space completely occupied and filled up with this monumental effort I have to pull out of myself on Sunday. And I wanted to shine a light on the last couple of weeks and the support that you have shown by watching the videos, liking and subscribing, you know, because that helps channel grow, it helps these videos be seen, and it helps YouTube know that these videos want to be seen. But enough of that. Like, I just value and appreciate you watching and your support, even if this is the first video you've seen, which if it is, I apologize because it's a long one. So we've got Charlie helping behind the camera. It's going to be a phenomenal weekend regardless of the result. You know, I think if you've seen any of the previous 2 hill climb series of the last couple of years, you would already know by now that the journey is probably like better than the actual national championship event. Like, this is the pinnacle, but like getting there and showing how we get there and what we do to get there, and then how we get that result at the National Hill Climb Championship, like all of that is like just encased. How are you feeling?
Me?
Yeah, I ask you because you are an integral part of what I do. You're very important, actually.
Thank you.
You just made me food. Yeah, you just gotta let me do my thing.
Yeah, I gotta let you do your thing. But you know, so I've got to find a way of helping you that doesn't.
The last couple of weeks, maybe the last 8 weeks since we've been doing the whole series, but like the last 2 weeks, I've turned the dial all the way to like maximum and like really tried to get myself in a much better shape than what I was a couple of weeks ago. And that's been evident.
It's
like,
been quite tough.
Tough for you?
It's been quite tough for both of us, I think.
Morning. It's the day before. We're about to set off as soon as we've had some breakfast and as soon as we've loaded up the car with all the bits and bobs that I need. And yeah, we're all ready. We are all ready to go. Good night's sleep. I feel fresh. I literally woke up 10 minutes ago and I look like I've been awake for like 2 hours, so that's good news, because I have to wake up at the same time tomorrow as well, so we can get there early to just sign on and do everything. But today is pre-race ride, pre-race chat, and everything else in between. Road trip! Let's go! Let's turn that down when we get copyrighted again. We have a 3.5 hour drive now to North Wales, which some would say this national championship is a home national championship, which it is if you count the fact it's in the same country. It's in North Wales. But 3.5 hour drive, it would get us to the other side of London. So this national championship might as well be the other side of London for us. But I'm not complaining. I love Wales. I love racing in Wales. I've got good history. We've got to occupy ourselves somehow, so we're listening to some noughties pop, which is like, well, I was like 10 years of age when half of these songs came out, so I don't have a clue what they are, but Charlie's like I've been racing for the last 8 weeks in this hill climb season in the UK, which is very much a case of, you know, you enter an event, show up on the day, you get changed in your car, you sign on, you get a number, and you get a start time, and you basically thrash it up a hill, and then you eat cake and pies and like drink tea afterwards. Like that's the genuine like tradition. Very proud with the way I performed in this hill climb season. I think I've taken 2 wins, and then every single other result has been like a second and a third. And as much as I would have liked to have won more, you know, I've either come up against, you know, better opposition, or I've been doing climbs that I've been playing the long game on the short climbs. So there's been times this year, like you won't have known, but like race organisers, they like to invite riders, especially like former national champions as well, but they also like to invite riders who can potentially draw more entries to their event. I've had to turn down a handful of like invites this last 8 weeks to events, and only on the basis of the fact that the climbs they're inviting me to do are not potentially ones that I think will get me in shape for this weekend. So if you are one of those people, like, I'm sorry, that's the main reason. It's just, to me, it's always about like being specific and trying to get myself into that, you know, whether it's headspace, whether it's, you know, physical performance, or whether it's the pacing or anything. It's much easier to already hit the ground running rather than, you know, I think it could have been quite easy for me to only show up to like climbs that have suited me this year, or long hill climbs, because that's basically the same thing, and try and break those course records and have a lot of fun doing it, which, you know, the time will come when the nationals will be a lot longer and I'll be able to dedicate my season to that, which I'm looking forward to, very much looking forward to. But this year it's about taking it on the chin and trying to get myself and my mind right, like regardless if I'm being beaten or coming second or coming third or whatever it is, because obviously I want to win the events, yeah, but it's about creating the package and gathering up those logs that you're going to light your fire on National Championship Day. So oh, we made it. It was a fairly easy drive. I've got to drop off at the headquarters, which is this massive tent of a thing. This is where the Eisteddfod is taking place, which, for those of you that aren't Welsh, it's a celebration of Welsh culture.
Heritage.
Usually involves like poetry, singing, dancing, that sort of stuff. This is going to be the HQ for the event, which is massive. Like, we're usually in little
village halls,
like really small, like crammed in, but when you've got an event like this, you need a large venue. So I'm going to drop off this, which is some energy product, which we're going to donate as a spot prize for somebody tomorrow. We're going to check out the place. I'm going to get kitted up and go for a ride then. Charles, come here. Grab one of these. Turn it over. Pick. Yeah. Back pedal.
That's cool.
Sponsoring the event. This feels like what Ironman triathletes do when they try and find their name.
You got it.
Whoop, nearly. Oh no, I've not thought this through at all. How am I going to mix it?
You didn't bring a spoon, did you?
No, I brought a fork.
You can only eat yogurt and cereal with a fork.
Hey, you can never say I'll show you the real life stuff. Have you shown people a secret weapon? For this weekend? But it's your secret weapon. It's not my secret weapon. Let's show them. Go on the side. This is our secret weapon for Charlie.
My little folding bike from Cardiff.
Yeah.
Making a return.
Pretty old, but if like we have to park here at the HQ, which is 3 miles from here to the bottom of the climb tomorrow, if I need any assistance or any help, Charlie, instead of having to walk 3 miles, she has a folding bike. Yes, it has tiny wheels and the smallest gear in the world. Right, I'll catch you in a bit.
Yeah,
It'll be about an hour.
An hour. Okay.
An hour for you, 2 seconds for everybody else.
Bye.
Bye. Well, now that we're alone, viewers, and we just have the glorious Welsh quiet countryside around us, it's a good time to offload to you how I feel mentally ahead of this championship. Just a couple of days ago, I went to a local climb which is probably about 80% similar to this climb, the Old Shoe, and I went to it full-on race equipment, everything. I wanted a final test, what sort of speed I could do up a climb of similar gradients, 14% for about a kilometre, and this climb is obviously about 13-14% for 1.5 kilometres. There's some steeper bits in this one, but it was about as close as I could get to a local climb, so I gave it a good go, and coming out of that was nothing but confidence building. Almost the same power for 5 minutes that I've been doing over the last couple of weeks. I'm certainly 2 kilos lighter, but I'm doing the same power, and all of this will hopefully add up, but it did on Wednesday at least, to me feeling like the stars are aligning, and at least hopefully if I can even regurgitate what I did on Wednesday tomorrow, then I'll be pleased as punch. My headspace right now is that of a rider who's done everything and has accepted the fact that I'm in as good a shape as I could hope to be in, and now it just all comes down to what happens on the day. So that was the start, just there, and there's even a porta potty there if anyone needs a toilet right on the start line. Good thinking. So it is immediately up, straight away up, and this is a savage section, this first couple hundred meters, you know, and there is a big tailwind forecast tomorrow. You've got to wonder a little bit about these leaves and the little mossy bit up the centre of this lane, look. Well, I've got a natural GoPro mount here, my handlebar.
We're cheering for you tomorrow, Ed.
Thank you.
Alright, this is an electric bike, so I'm definitely cheating. I will use it tomorrow, I promise.
Oh, blimey. Apparently there's going to be grip tape on that cattle grid to help us get over it without crashing.
Definitely not any easier than that, you know.
Come on, Ed.
So an interesting stat for you all is this climb is probably best broken down into 2 sections. First section being to the cattle grid, which is about 700 meters, and the second half almost exactly 700 meters, but although it's steeper, the last 200 meters are like flattening off really quickly, so it somewhat skews the average gradient. There's definitely a steep section between that sort of 700 meter and 1.2k marker. This little grip box, the gradient is now down to 10%, and up until that point for about 300 meters we were sitting at about 18%. There's definitely more to gain on the steeper parts than what you could gain in the last 150 meters where it flattens off now, and this wind is already catching me and helping me accelerate. So all of this plays a part in how I'm going to race this climb tomorrow. Commentator's box right here, and I don't know, probably a nice long downhill for us to recover. Alright, I've done my little recon ride, I've seen the climb, but I've come down after my opening efforts, which felt great, to what is probably like the point of the climb where it starts to level off. That's 200 meters to go there, and it fades off into the mist. 300 meters to go is like down sort of there. You can't really see where I'm pointing, but I wanted to have a look to see what the weather forecast is for right at this minute, because this tailwind is, I'm not kidding, this tailwind is literally fantastic. So we're looking at a 14-mile-an-hour south wind with 29-mile-an-hour gusts, and tomorrow in exactly 24 hours time, because that's when I'm off in 24 hours, it's going to be 17-mile-an-hour winds with 35-mile-an-hour gusts. So pre-race ride done, let's go. I'm excited, lots of people cheering me on. Let's hope I can do something with it tomorrow. Let's get back and get warm. Something I didn't bring is a changing neck.
Yeah, I was wondering why you didn't bring that.
Have you emptied what's in the
carrier
plastic bag?
You want that?
I can't. Can't get the staff these days. cash.
No, thank you.
What does that say, Sean?
Dros.
Is it Welsh?
Yeah, from the shop, a little shop. Orange and Silver Bottom, I think that's what it says.
Have you made yourself comfortable?
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
I'm looking at the menu.
The menu.
Yeah.
So I bought Charlie, well, in Premier Inn, yeah, when I booked this hotel, they gave you an option to book a meal deal, which was like, is a bit of an offer on food. So you can choose two courses
The main menu.
and a drink,
And a drink.
and also breakfast in the morning, but we won't make breakfast anyway because we're going to leave early. But it does mean that Charlie gets like full on meal. I've got my meal in the cooler box. Don't know where the cooler box is.
Why did you always film me when I'm eating?
My new favourite t-shirt. Is it? So, we're at the hotel now. Lots of stuff going off on Facebook, which is where we find like, well, anything last minute from the UK hill climbing community. Can see that there's volunteers out sweeping the road as we speak to try and clean it up from leaves and stuff. I'll wait until tomorrow morning we've got like all morning, quite literally tomorrow, to fill you in on like my pacing strategy and like exactly how I'm going to tackle it. On the start sheet, they've got, look at this, they've got, can you see the names of those guys there?
Yeah.
Kieran Salt and Nigel Pepper. Oh, we've got all this food. That's a solid portion right there if ever I've seen one. That's gonna fill me tomorrow. I've been looking forward to this all day. Very simple. It's an enchilada kit basically. A couple of wraps, a little bit of cheese, some low-fat turkey mince, and just some tomato sauce and a couple of peppers. So it's pretty low fat. It's moderate protein, but it's high carb. Oh, it's also the same thing I ate on Wednesday when I did that power test and everything went well. So this is what I ate the night before that. So I'm just keeping things the same. Today's the day. I don't think I've shaken so many hands, Charles. There's such a vibe in there. It's like people are oozing with energy and excited for... We need one of these. Look at these people with campers and stuff. Look at this. They've been here all night, just parked up and can cook all our food, and that's what we need next year. Did you get that?
No.
No. It's like people are cheering me on because I'm Welsh and we're in Wales, and oh, Simon Warren over there. Yeah. So the expo area is inside there. Hopefully we'll be able to see it when we come back later, but they're still setting up because it's very early. It's like 7:30, and there's the Rafa coffee van, free coffee for every entry, I think, which is
I love those little Citroen vans.
which is a lot of, that's 450 coffees that he's got to give away for free. But inside there is the expo, so Red Bull are in there, there's a load of other brands in there. We should have a back pedal stand in there and you can go and sit in there and like chat to people all day.
About what?
I don't know. Off early, their start is early because first rider is off at 9 o'clock, and That's only an hour and a half away from now, but I've turned up early because I want to put a plan in place so that I can just chill out for the rest of the morning, because it is going to be a long morning. It's time for a change of hat. The back pedal hat. So I haven't been truthful with everybody. Like my largest performance anxiety with climbs that are sort of below 8 minutes in duration is the anxiety of, am I going to be able to go deep enough? Because sometimes you've just got to unplug your brain with these and you've just got to go as hard as you can. Sometimes I can worry that I'm not going to be in the right place to go deep, if that makes sense. I'm sure I'm not the only one, but that's just something that I tend to struggle with, and it's also something that a good warm-up can help solve. Now, two major things that have played a part in my preparation, aside from me doing a climb that's very similar to this, that's local to me at home, is, if you can, GoPro footage the climb. So if you've got a chance to ride the climb 2-3 months in advance, even a year in advance, GoPro the climb and get as much sort of data from that as you can. So, you know, this week, every day, I've been watching the GoPro footage of that climb. So I've almost been riding it every single day without actually riding it. Now, that's one tip. The other tip I can give you is to get the profile of the climb and make it your computer screensaver or your phone screensaver background, like anything which makes you like almost memorize the course profile, and you're able to actually see, you know, where the climb peaks, where it levels off, and you can actually see physically the gradient changes. That can really help you, again, memorize the climb, make it so that you know the climb without having to think about it.
Yeah, read my book.
Read your book on the bench?
Yeah.
Here we go. I'm well pleased with myself for finding this car park spot. This is approximately 300 meters away from the start line. The start line is actually, hopefully this is far enough out of the way, or it feels like we're out of the way, even though the start is just there, that my anxiety and like my like trying to stay in the zone, everything like that, is taken care of by the peace and serenity of this beautiful Welsh countryside. So I've got my race numbers, got some Haribo, Nutrigrain bar, or 2 Nutrigrain bars, and
I got a bell!
and it's labelled, look.
Hang on. Let me get it to focus. I've wanted a cowbell for ages.
Have you?
Yeah.
Well, now you're going for free. Bike's ready. We're going to make ourselves comfortable, although that's a little bit perilous. Let's hope that tree doesn't fall over here.
Comfortable?
Sort of. I mean, I can stretch out, which is a good thing. Sir Alex Ferguson, former Manchester United manager, once said that when there's doubt, there is no doubt. So if you doubt yourself, then there's no doubt that you're not going to follow through with what you do. Right, my pre-race strategy. The pre-race talk that I tend to give to myself prior to any race. This race, obviously, an important one. So lots of things are going to happen on this climb. It's 1.5k at 13-14%, but there's one particularly steep section near the top of the climb which is around about 18% for about 150 meters. But to be honest, the distance is irrelevant because it's all about the time you spend on certain sections of the climb. I've always said the longer you spend on a section of climb, the more you should invest in that section. So there's a lot of chat going on amongst people, competitors, saying that you should save something for the final bit. Now, weirdly, I use 3 things to like pinpoint my pacing strategy for events. I use good old-fashioned like course recon, weather predictions. I go and ride it, I see how it feels. The other thing I do is I use Best Bike Split, and I also use my Windsock, 2 online like websites you can check out. that help you gauge where you're going to distribute your power. Now for this climb, interestingly, because as you can tell from most of these lanes, they're like, there's moss up the middle, there's leaves. Although they've done their best effort to sweep the leaves off the lower slopes of this climb, the actual lower slopes of this climb are completely under trees. And by being under trees, it shelters you from the weather. Now there's forecast to be a tailwind that hasn't come yet, but it's supposed to pick up later in the day as I'm setting off. So what the online predicting software has told me is to actually invest more in the first half of the climb than the last half. The reason I think being because A, it's sheltered, and B, because you're actually spending longer time-wise on that first half of the climb. Now that's the crucial bit. So this is what's helping me form a pacing strategy. Now in my head, after my effort on Wednesday, which was up a climb very similar to this, I paced it where I just went flat out for the first 2-3 minutes and then just sat down in and out the saddle, just trying to get everything out for that last 2 minutes of my 5-minute effort. Now if we're going to go around about 5 minutes today, or at least 5 minutes for the steep section of the climb, the last 100 meters or so, the last 30 seconds, 20 seconds is flattening off. So that's why I'm going with a strategy where I'm actually going to set off harder, and then I'm going to bank on having a little bit of assistance from the wind and a little bit of assistance from the cheering fans to power me through that last minute and a half. So whereas you may think that I should save something for that steep bit, in terms of time, at the very most, I'm going to spend about 1:40 to 2 minutes on that final steep section. But the first gradual steep section, I'm going to be spending about 2.5 to 3 minutes on. So it's actually, in my head, probably more appropriate to go off harder and bank time there. Because at the end of the day, the winner is going to have the fastest average speed. So the last thing I want to mention is as well, when a climb is like 5 minutes in length for the winners, give or take, for me anyway, that effort seems very short. Like on Wednesday, where if I'm going as hard as I can, I look down and it's like 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes on the clock already, and it's like, wow, like that time has flown. And then the last 2 minutes, you can kind of suffer your way through. Yes, they last a long time, but you're already over the hump of that effort. And to me, it's why I always refer to a 5-minute effort as a short effort, because it just seems to fly by. It just seems to go really quick, and you don't have time to, I don't at least have time to get into the effort. So it's almost worth me going hard at the start and banking that effort and then phasing off, because I know that if I try and ride to power or like save, or not save something, but just like, you know, be mindful and then try and press on at the end, I don't have that some of these other guys do have. They have the ability to sort of kick really deep at the end. Is something that I have to be very careful about. So I'm going to try and ride seated for as much as possible, and when it goes really steep, get out the saddle. But anyone in this top 10 can like find themselves on the podium, in my opinion. It's going to be close. I also think that, you know, if someone has a great day and they normally come 8th on an average day, they could come 2nd. And I think if someone usually comes on the podium but has a terrible day, they could come 8th. So I think there's a lot to play for in this hill climb. Weather update. Glad we parked under a tree actually, because can you see that? You might be able to see like this mist coming through this valley, and it seems to be coming in bouts, like heavy shower and then nothing for like half an hour, another heavy shower. But you can tell how strong the wind is, and I'm watching the live feed on their Facebook page for the event. There's a camera right at the top, right at the finish, and you can actually see there's a windsock there, but you can actually see how strong the wind is at the top. Can't feel it here obviously, but it's going to be mental at the top. So I'm actually going to make some last minute changes to the setup that I'm going to run today. So instead of racing on both slick race tyres, which are 23mm for those of you that are wondering, I'm going to run a wet weather tyre at the back that's 28mm. I'll run a slightly lower pressure and then I'll run my standard race tyre at the front, the 23mm slick. So I'll have a bit of a compromise because it is wet and slippery on this climb, and I just don't want to run the risk of like damaging my ride in any way by just having tyre slip or anything like that. So it's funny how like most of us, like most competitors, we will have like a wet and a dry option. And lots of people will say, oh, you know, if you want to make your bike lighter, you do this. If you want to do, you know, if you want to go faster, you do this. Like, it's almost always about like efficiency and like getting the bike as light as possible. But sometimes you have to remember that if the conditions change, then you have to change your setup as well, because it won't always be the fastest setup that you have on a dry day. It'll also be the fastest setup on a wet day. That's like something I learned last year.
Oh. Steady on.
Enjoy the trip. Haven't gone too deep yet. Part 2, I'll go a bit deeper. I've definitely got a sweat on because it's not cold at all. But I think changing to that wet tyre is a good move, or at least it is now. I'm saying it now, but the roads are very wet. Whether or not they're slippery, I don't know, but it's not worth the risk of running a slick tyre and then not getting any traction, and not being able to stand or punch. So we've got to run transponder as well. I think, to be honest, I'm all for, like, to be honest, I would rather most events charge a bit more for entry fee so that they can afford to maybe hire timing chips for everybody. Even if they're ones you have to wear around your ankle. Like, I just think we get to that level of competition now where sometimes it's won by a split second and that can't be decided on a stopwatch. So yeah, thumbs up for timing chips from me.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Go.
Well done, rider. Come forward, rider. Put your
4, 5, 6.
put your tyre on the white line. Well done. Great.
Only 5 seconds from the podium. So 5 seconds from 5th to 3rd. Close, very close. But as much as I want to win, it's pretty awesome to see a lot of work gone into this to get us to this point. I'm well chuffed. Alright, that's a wrap, as they say, and we've even got our own banner out of it. is absolutely massive. Look at it. It needs a clean, but 5th place. So last year at Winner's Pass at the Nationals I was 10th. This year I'm 5th. So law of averages. Is that a thing? Law of averages. Next year. No. Man, congrats to, I think the podium was Feather, Tom Bell and Bustle. And I came 5th. At one point I was 3rd, but that was with a couple of riders still to go. So I did exactly what I said I was going to do, which I couldn't be more pleased about. You know, and that's what I'm most proud of now, is the fact that I knew I could come here and win. And in my head, I was saying to myself, I'm capable of winning. I just need everything to go right. And to be fair, I had a good ride. I felt strong. It's just that other riders are better. But I'm very happy with the way I executed the ride. I'm also extremely grateful for the amount of support that I have today. It's actually freakishly overwhelming. People have been coming to me saying good ride. Lots of people have been coming up and saying well done, good ride. And it's genuinely overwhelming how many people have actually, you know, got into this through this YouTube channel or just follow me on Strava or something. Like, yeah, genuinely thank you, it means a lot. Like, my performance on a day like today comes second to the fact that you come up to me and you say, I love watching the YouTube channel, keep doing it. So I will keep doing it. You're awesome.
I'm just happy I got a doggy cuddle, like where we were parked.
Also, the climb was super muddy, very, very muddy, and my bike is absolutely filthy. It is absolutely filthy. But we almost made history today. In fact, we have technically made history today. 5th place and the fastest rider on a disc brake bike. I think I joked with a couple of people. I said if I'd won today, or if I win next year, I might be the first person ever to win on a disc brake bike, which may break the internet, I don't know. But it's all good fun. We love a bit of fun.